Welcome back, everyone, to the Hearthstone Grandmasters. We have our 5th match of our packed Sunday, as we have Monsanto versus Purple, Mage versus Warrior. And then after that, we have Eddie versus Striveco, and then we are done with the Warrior Gauntlet for now, DJ, until everyone decides to bring 16 out of 16 Warriors, to which, if they do, the secret is unlocked. That's right. Hearthstone Grandmasters will be canceled if all 16 America's players bring Warrior.
Because half the crew will quit.
All right. So Monsanto versus Purple has previewed this a little bit. Monsanto did a good job against Zalay yesterday. This might end up being a series that could end up being pretty one-sided if Monsanto is able to effectively go unanswered with his Giants and Conjurers calling. Purple has the Warrior deck list. He does have an Execute. That is one thing that might give him a lot more game than some of the other Warrior deck lists in terms of dealing with those early threats.
Yeah, he does have Execute. He does have a second copy of Execute, as well as Big Game Hunter and Super Cloud in his tertiary deck for games 2 and 3. He also only has one Wrench Caliper, which can oftentimes be a liability outside of when you can go for the very fast bomb start and then curve out with Blastmaster Boom. Monsanto is playing the Summoner Mage, as we mentioned, which he faltered in game 1, but because his secondary deck is just super greedy all the way down, it seemed really hard for Warriors to be able to match up against all that pressure. So I'd still say Monsanto is a decent favorite overall in this match. And
you asked for it.
Love watching some Mage, you know?
I think so too. Mage is just a nice variety, and also we have Book of Specters with the opening Mountain Giant and Twilight Drake.
Yep.
Seems awesome, man.
Oh boy.
I mean, that might look like a little bit of an awkward draw, but that's nice for Monsanto. Gives you room to actually double Book of Specters to try and guarantee a turn 3 Giant. You will risk discarding some important cards. Monsanto's like, yeah, I'm not going to draw Conjurer's Calling with this one Book of Specters. Plus, Coin has a lot more application than this. Let's just go for it now. Easy 3 minions.
Oh no!
Yeah, you don't want to see that.
Purple. What a funny guy.
Just has that, like, giant grin and chuckle that just makes you feel like, oh man, you know exactly what he's thinking whenever he laughs.
Yeah, he's one of the few people I know who, when he smiles, his eyebrows also smile.
What to
Pay
do?
attention.
What
Look
to
closely
do?
the next time he gets that big old grin on his face.
You mean he smizes?
Excuse me?
Smile with your eyes.
Okay.
You don't remember the old Tyra Banks thing? Like she was trying to like teach people how to model pose, and she was like, "You smile with your eyes." I'm like, "What?" And she's like, "You smize." And they're like, "What?" And she just does it to the camera. It's like, "Oh, so you just like stare at the camera."
No, I can't say that I've ever followed Tyra Banks very closely, or anything that she's ever done.
Me neither.
Sure, Dan. Sure. Your smize right now are telling me different things.
All right, maybe I'm just really, out of date and out of touch with the community, man. I don't know. I'm not as one with the memes that used to be.
Tempo Omega Devastator.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting that he's not trying to like bump in with the Militia Commander. I think he wants to do that afterwards in case Monsanto chooses to do something fancy, like if he did have Conjurer's Calling in the hand. But in this case, having the Militia Commander be reactive is perfectly fine once he finds out what his opponent can do on 4 mana.
He's got a nice clear here with Scale Worm to keep this Twilight Drake healthy and push some damage.
Right.
I was thinking maybe fire 2 Witch Doctors, but honestly that just allows value trades from purple side.
Yeah, now because of this, like, purple did not have a good opportunity for this motion commander to go in. Now it's weak to the same problem, which is the hero power. But Monsanto, if he wants the hero power, can't play the Mountain Giant. So this is mapped out for purple to make sure that he can guarantee the damage on the Twilight Drake, which is fairly smart, actually. Wow, that ends up panning out really nicely. Plays it so fast. Like, now Monsanto has to debate if he keeps the Twilight Drake or he puts out a Mountain Giant. And also, there's 2 targets on the field, so that way he can threaten and execute. Wow, this actually is very smart. I didn't... Like, purple spot is so fast, too. It's very amazing when it comes to, like, these combat scenarios that he's setting up. Nicely done. If Monsanto draws minions, he should be able to play his Giant for 3. It's still green. Looks like he hit it. Always love life tap into Mountain Giant, but this is even one step further beyond.
Time runs out on me.
Monsanto's in trade. He's also vulnerable slightly to a brawl.
Yeah, either way his Twilight Drake dies. I honestly want the... Well, let's see. How many... Purple does have 2 brawls in his primary deck, so there is more of a chance for that. I was going to say I kind of like the... just the face damage attack. Because then, if Purple did have Execute, you'd have to make the decision between executing or trading over Twilight Drake. But
Shield Slam should be able to deal with this. I think that's kind of why Purple was also confused. Like, I think you'd rather just push the damage here than trade into the minion.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. It just didn't seem worth it to make the trade there. I don't know what he was trying to play around outside of exactly Brawl, which could have been a possibility.
Yeah, I think it is Brawl. Because, yeah, like you said, talking about, like, Dynamatic's not going to do anything. It is definitely worth thinking about. Mirror Entity ends up being a pretty interesting possibility here for Monsanto, but there's so many, like, small minions that you don't really care about from Purple. Like, if he plays an Eternium Rover, for example, it's not going to do anything. Perhaps Ray of Frost can help him freeze minions. But once Dr. Boom Mad Genius comes out, Freeze doesn't really do much to stop your opponent from answering your board because every minion effectively can just charge whatever you have down.
Yeah, Magic Trick can find him a Conjurer's Calling. That's not the best chance because a lot of secrets in the pool, a ton of spells in Mage that cost 3 or less. But he did discard 1, and so maybe an option. Also, even though Mirror Entity may not be that effective, Purple has to worry about what that secret is and not play too much into it. So
sees no secret. Harrison Jones gonna catch up on the card economy.
That belongs in a museum.
Monsanto's ready himself. He's got double ooze and a giant. Now, he does actually have to be a little bit more cautious. This is his second giant, and he only has 1 Conjurer's Calling left, so he doesn't actually have many ways to capitalize on Conjurer's Calling. If he loses the second giant, he would have Astromancer. He would have
Rabble Bouncer, Alexstrasza, Crowd Roaster.
Well, what I meant was he doesn't have immediate summons off of anything like besides the Astromancer. So.
Oh, I thought you were just talking about in general big stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, you can definitely utilize Conjurer's Calling on 7-mana minions, but it's not like the ideal setup. So what you can often do instead is, like, in this case, Monsanto can, like, you know, just kill off the Harrison and push damage. But it looks like he wants to play the Mountain Giant and pressure his opponent anyways.
Yeah, he's not guaranteed to draw Conjurer's Calling anytime soon. So if you just try and hold on the Mountain Giant until you find Conjurer's Calling, you just give Purple time to find the answers to it. And I think the biggest thing is allowing him to have, if you make a weaker turn, to play Dr. Mad Genius, or even give him time to find Omega Devastators, which is kind of the easiest, most efficient way to answer the Giants. So everything kind of points to just play Mountain Giant. Get your 8-8 on board. Get your 3-mana 8-8 on the board and start hitting people.
Right. But this ends up landing really nicely into a Warpath. Good sequencing just to make sure that he can maximize his armor gain and even get the trade.
Everything so far coming up purple.
Yeah. Monsanto now has like Astromancer, but like that's kind of what you want some of your bigger or your mid-sized minions to do. You want your mid-sized minions to take out like the Warpaths and the Shield Slams and the Executes, and then like have the giant for like the big Conjurer's Calling character stuff. But I mean, I also understand that Monsanto's nowhere near that. He doesn't have any of those pieces. Fellow Betrug. When you draw a minion, you summon a copy of it with a rush, but it dies at the end of the turn, which is pretty cool if you're able to capitalize on its death rattle effect, or if you're able to utilize it. But not going to do anything here outside of give him some ways to answer Purple's board.
Yeah, he doesn't have any like fantastic hits with it. I would allow him to trade over, but he has no like big death rattle minions like Karen in order to like get a bigger bonus. But he's going to leave it alive. Not the most threatening of minions.
If you get summon another Cat Guard, though.
Arena full.
Also, by leaving it alive, you gain a little bit of information. Because
Oh, it's true. You gain.
every spell has been shown, so if he doesn't pull one, he knows that he has Conjurer's Calling. And if he does pull one, you know what minion he's just drawn.
Yeah, Monsanto's definitely looking for the Conjurer's Calling right here. Doesn't get it. He can Arcane Intellect into it. I think he's going to try desperately to reach for it, but he also gets rushed minions. Harrison gets summoned. Scale Orb gets summoned. I mean, it looks like an amazing board, but remember, all these are going to die at the end of the turn. If you like, what if you like played a minion that silenced everything? Did they not die? Like, what if you played Wailing Soul? Like that old card from, I think, X
Runs out on me.
Silence all your minions. They don't have Rush anymore, but do they die?
I wonder.
No. I have a new deck for Whose Meme Reigns Supreme next week. Because this looks like an intimidating board, but
Most of it dies.
half of it goes bye-bye.
Still a reasonable board, though.
Oh, of course. I mean, it's kind of like Monsanto has his own equivalent of Dr. Boom Mad Genius, where like no minions that Purple ever plays are going to get to stick onto the board. Purple does have a Shield Slam.
This would be a good time for a master plan.
Shield Slam, Dynamatic doesn't clear, but by its battle cry, but it has a chance to clear. Well, it can just use its body to rush into everything. Shield Slam is also his premium removal for like a single target minion, but both Mountain Giants have been utilized.
Okay then.
And it's clear that Monsanto didn't have the Conjurer's Calling because he went fishing for it and didn't find it. So I think Purple might feel more comfortable parting ways with the Shield Slam here.
Oh, I love that fuse thing.
I think the Dynamatic here seems fine. It clears off everything. It even has a chance of just killing the Scale Worm, which would be sweet. It's not
Yeah,
getting
then he
it.
could value trade over, but unfortunately doesn't get it. But still, it's just about kind of neutralizing every threat that Monsanto's able to throw out there. Because if he's playing 1/3 a turn, you answer every threat, then Conjurer's Calling doesn't get value. You have a ton of time to try and get those Omega Assemblies, get those Discovers, build up that armor total, find your additional pieces of removal, have a snack,
Yeah.
a cold beverage.
One thing to consider too, as we get closer to the end stages of this game, Purple's been saving up his bombs, and Monsanto doesn't have very easy ways to deal with bombs in his deck outside of keeping his hand full.
What to do? What
And he
to
needs to
do?
present threats. So, you know, yes, this acidic swamp boost will be really nice to shut down the second half of Wrench Caliber, but, you know, 15 damage is still half of Monsanto's life here.
Time runs out on me.
Looks like it's time to just jam a rabble bouncer.
Yeah, this is part of the downside of like the Mountain Giant setup too, but it's again without Conjur's Calling and Khadgar, this deck fights very fair. Like his reload is quite pathetic, honestly. Not because of him, but just because like it seems so weak when you play a 2/7 minion on the board with 10 full mana usage.
Pathetic.
It does feel quite pathetic. As an offensive attempt. And like part of the reason why Mage is supposed to be favored against the Warriors because they have non-stop waves of threats.
Okay, then.
Like a Brawl is supposed to remove most of the minions, but then they keep a board on the minion and the Conjur's Calling happens.
Seems very similar to Monsanto's game 1 yesterday. Where his main deck just couldn't get the job done against Warrior.
Okay, then.
Does Purple have the augmented Elix? He does not, so it's not like he's saving for an open.
Light the music!
Wow, this actually works out really conveniently. Gun pack number 2. Zap Cannon. All right.
Okay.
Messenger Raven. I've seen Messenger Raven do some really wacky things.
Yeah, Caligos, Astromancer,
Meteorologist sometimes.
Meteorologist.
Does big damage. I know it's not applicable in this situation. Just seeing it get some really good stuff before. Wait, Hexlord Malacrash gives another Mountain Giant.
It gives him another Mountain Giant, but it also gives him 2 Books of Specters. Which I don't think is a positive right now, because he has 7 cards left, and
That's fine. He
one of those is
doesn't
the
play-
Conjurer's Calling.
It's actually, I think it's actually a good thing ultimately because if he has Hexlord Malacrash, it fills up his hand so that bombs can't deal damage.
Oh, he also has a Twilight Drake.
Yeah. I think filling up his hand is a legitimate thing to focus on for him.
Ugh.
Because then he stops Purple from dealing fatigue or the damage, and then he can play normally instead of worrying about the bombs. This is definitely one of the weaker ones, but Bronze Gatekeeper works okay. Has the Clockwork Goblin Bronze Gatekeeper. That makes it a 4/8. So that's enough to take down the Crowd Roaster. Still think that Purple's been saving this. He's been saving his Clockwork Goblins for a while. That second Warpath means that Monsanto is a little bit more clear to play smaller mid-sized minions to force out the brawl. Alex Straza. That's a great draw. 2 Shield Slams used.
Yep, still Brawls left, but with just 1 big minion plopped onto the board.
I like it.
Purple takes it 50-50 at best if he wants to try and just remove it straight up.
Assuming he knows what the mech is, it could easily be Omega Destroyer off the delivery drone. Or just off the top of his deck. Big time draw here for Purple. Shut down the Alex.
And just going to take it slow.
Yeah.
Not pop out any of these Clockwork Goblins. It's removal. Every card in his hand is effectively removal.
I mean, I think you can use this on the Rabble Bouncer now. Your highest cost minion outside of that is the Hexlord Malacrash.
Yeah, but you get Mountain Giant from the Hexlord Malacrash.
Oh yeah, you do. You're right. So maybe you just dump your hand a little bit more then. Maybe a Dragon Maw Scorcher here.
Or Harrison Jones. Because you don't
Oh,
really
yeah, you
want
don't
to
wanna
draw
draw.
too far into your deck.
No, you're right. You're right. I like that.
You have the Conjurer's Calling now. The rest of your deck is kind of junk at this point. Well, he does have an Astromancer, I believe, still left in
Yeah, and Khadgar.
and Khadgar.
belongs in a museum.
I think that's ultimately what he wants to wait for. Khadgar plus Conjurer's Calling. I think that's his big push.
Yep. Now he's given Purple way too much time to find the brawls.
Access denied.
Time to start shuffling.
Yeah, and you see a couple cards being played, so now he feels more comfortable adding in the damage because it's close to fatigue. Put some pressure under Monsanto. Astromancer comes out. This is an opportunity for Monsanto to do that play. He can actually play the Ooze and then Hexlord Malacrass and has a full hand afterwards.
I wonder.
I don't know if this is the turn for the full hand.
2 bombs are shuffled
Two
into
bombs,
your deck.
and he still wants that Khadgar, I feel.
Yeah, it's true. Khadgar is
Arena's
super
full.
important.
You could even go like Hexlord Malacrass, Giant Conjurer's Calling, try and force a brawl, and then kill something like Khadgar, Astromancer. Like,
That does make sense too.
kind of make like the middle ground worth of threats.
Safeguard or Security Rover, both are alright minions. Security Rover just has more stuff for your opponent to take down. Monsanto isn't playing Mind Control techs in his deck of any capacity. I think mages have largely phased that out.
But Kaboom Bot just allows him to clear off this board immediately.
Yeah.
And that's been Purple's game plan thus far. All right, one of the bombs gone. All right, both of the bombs gone.
It's pretty scary stuff. Khadgar finally comes to the hand. What's done is done. You take 10 damage to draw Khadgar.
It might be time to crash that Maladan.
Seems like it. Then you're more resilient to all the bombs, at least for one turn.
So we know that it's Book of Specters, double Book of Specters,
Twilight Drake and
Twilight Drake, and Mountain Giant. So 4 cards. Ooh, but he'd have to play another 2-drop if he wants to get full value from it.
play Sunfury Protector first.
Oh, okay. Just
I
with Astromancer.
wonder.
My calculations.
He's gonna play 2 cards with this. Astromancer.
Oh
Oh my goodness!
Runs out on me.
Hold on.
Beep bop beep boop bop beep boop.
Yes, we are definitely doing this now to collect the Fireball and summon 2 7-drops. He was hoping for some kind of taunt, maybe, to protect the...
Countess Ashmore and spell damage weapon Hunter Blood Elf.
Yeah, Varisa.
There you go.
Bulldozer. Going for the brawl.
Still has
He has the execute, yeah. Okay.
All right, spell damage weapon Blood Elf lives.
Execute. He doesn't know, by the way, he doesn't know about this Hexlord Malacrass. But one thing Monsanto has to consider, by the way, is that he will die soon to the fatigue and the bombs.
Well, there's only one more bomb generation left. I'm pretty sure. Purple only has 1 Wrench Caliber. He's already played a Clockwork Gnome.
Right, but
So the
that's
second
the-
Clockwork Gnome is or Clockwork Goblin is the only bomb left. He will die soon just naturally.
Right, because he has like Zap and bombs. And
Yeah.
Purple, as Purple loves 2 things. He likes going face and he likes fatiguing his opponent. And he's in a situation where he can do both.
Yeah. I think Scale Worm and Dragon Maw Scorcher are the last 2 cards in the deck.
Dude, he has Clockwork Automaton to deal 6 damage.
Whoa.
Just getting board tempo makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I don't know, this Hexlord Malacrass, it's cool and all. He has to Voodoo Doll this.
We did all Dragon Maw Scorcher ping face.
What to do?
He's making up some ground, but he doesn't have enough time. Purple's just gonna wait him out. And then Purple even has the big comeback mechanic through Vicious, Scrap Hound, and Ziliax.
Yeah, he's got everything.
Which means he can also like play the waiting game for the fatigue. Monsanto thinking very carefully just to make sure this is what he wants to do. He's dumping his hand.
Shields up.
If he didn't have enough already.
Double Clockwork Bomb. There's one card remaining in the deck. He's gonna still be very meticulous about when he plays the bombs. He wants to guarantee it. Don't give Monsanto any opportunity to potentially discard. That's a Zilliax. So Hexlord Malacras, is that coming in now?
Yeah, but doesn't fill it up.
Yeah, it doesn't keep a full hand at this point. You don't get the coin as part of your starting hand for Hexlord Malacras. Would be cool.
What to do?
Another 10 life to purple. Very solidly at 52.
Yeah, I mean, he's got...
I'm almost out of cards.
He also has just 11 damage loaded up with the 1 point of fatigue plus the guaranteed double bomb shuffle.
That's it. Monsanto taps out purple. Never really felt like he was contested whatsoever, and I gotta say, you know, it felt like a really missed opportunity in some capacity with like having Hexlord Malacras to give you another giant when you have Conjurer's Calling in the hand to capitalize onto it with Khadgar. He never even got to go off with Khadgar. And that's you know, as a mage player, that's like why you're playing the deck, to play Conjurer's Calling and Khadgar combo. So going to game number 2, I'm gonna look to see if Monsanto could figure out a way to get that combo off. Yes, it's towards the bottom half of his deck, but you're always planning for it.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday he kind of was in the same situation. It seemed like in game 1 he could never get things rolling with his primary deck.
Right.
But then when he just added a ton more greed with his secondary deck, it felt like a much different story. So I'm kind of expecting a similar outcome as yesterday, but we'll see.
Yeah, because he's most likely anticipating Rogue to be the popular deck, so his Mage deck is a lot better versus that as opposed to the Warrior class. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll see if Monsanto can repeat history from yesterday or Purple close it out by a score of 2-0.
Hi there. My name is Chad Nervik, and I'm an initial designer on the Hearthstone team. I'm here to talk to you about the devious mechanics coming in the next Hearthstone expansion, Rise of Shadows. Specifically, let's talk about the Rise of Evil. In Rise of Shadows, we have the League of Evil, an organization of wicked villains whose evil plot has brought them to the floating city of Dalaran. You're probably already familiar with their core team. They're villains you've tangled with before. Let's go through the League of Evil dossier. First off, in the Warlock class, we've got the leader, Archthief Rafaam, the bad guy from the League of Explorers. He's joined by Madame Lazul, the priest from Whispers of the Old Gods, King Togwaggle, the rogue, Hagatha, the shaman, and lastly, Dr. Boom, the warrior. Together, they've formed the League of Evil and have set their eyes on the treasures of Dalaran. Now, every villainous organization needs lackeys to do their bidding, and the League of Evil has the best. Lackeys are a new mechanic in Rise of Shadows. There are cards in the Priest, Rogue, Shaman, Warlock, and Warrior classes, the Evil classes, which add random lackeys to your hand. Check out this card, Improve Morale. Improve Morale is a very versatile card, able to be used on both enemy minions or occasionally friendly minions. There are 5 potential lackeys you'll receive. They're 1 mana, 1/1 minions with useful battle cries. We designed them to be valuable in most situations and occasionally awesome in the right situation. Lackeys don't stop here either. This is a year-long mechanic, so look forward to more lackeys and more cards that generate them.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Hearthstone Grandmasters. Hope you guys have enjoyed everything so far. We're going to find out if Monsanto can keep up the momentum to fix everything that he messed up in game number 1. When I say messed up, it's more like the deck list.
No. I knew what you meant.
I feel like Monsanto should definitely be able to pick up games number 2 and 3 a lot better with the deck list adjustment. Like we said, he teched his primary deck most likely to beat the Rogues because he had more early game stuff to play. Against the Warriors, a lot less effective, let alone one that has a little bit more removal into it.
I'm a little confused, Dan.
For it.
I did get word that Purple has gone with his secondary deck.
Okay.
Now, his tertiary deck has a second Execute, double Big Game Hunter, double Super Collider.
Yeah, that seems like you'd want to play that against.
That seems like you'd want to play that against Mage, whereas his secondary deck has Baleful Banker, double Augmented Elix, Sephorian Bomber, and Mojo Master Zihi.
And he removed an Execute, he removed the Brawl.
He removed an Execute, removed a Brawl. This is,
Oh. Well then. He's going to shuffle more bombs to his opponent's decks. That's what he's going to do.
he is. And now Monsanto, he looks just as confused as me. Because Augmented Elix is only in Purple's secondary deck. And by seeing the coin Augmented Elix, the jig's up. Monsanto knows that Purple's on this one. And he's probably very confused. And that gives him a ton of information. He doesn't have to play around Big Game Hunter. He does not have to play around Super Collider.
What to do? What to do?
It's one less Brawl.
One less Brawl, no Execute.
So I think maybe Purple feels like he doesn't win if he plays a very reactive game plan because the...
Then what's his third deck for?
What to do?
Why would you even build that deck?
His third deck has Execute 2 BGH and Super Collider. Yeah. Huh.
You would just build a different tertiary deck.
Okay.
All right.
Monsanto certainly doesn't feel comfortable leaving up to Augmented Elix, right? He was going to Scale Worm this. Oh, man.
He's got Khadgar Conjurer's Calling.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
So, yeah, Purple can kill it. But then his game plan is... He still shuffles 3 bombs in, but then he has no board presence.
Right.
And Monsanto's follow-up is still decent. He still has Twilight Drake.
I mean, he plays Giant, and the Ren's Caliber comes out. Purple still shuffles 3 bombs in the deck. He plays Scale Word, his opponent still shuffles 2 bombs in the deck.
Yeah, I think 1 extra bomb for the potential for the ability to play Mountain Giant. Because then what happens if you play Scale Worm, and then you kill 1 Augmented Elix? He plays Wrench Caliber, he shuffles 2 bombs in, then what?
Okay.
Then you have no way to kill the second Augmented Elix.
I'm willing to go out on a limb here, and I know this sounds really out of left field. I think Purple may have confused which was his second and tertiary deck. He is the kind of guy that sometimes does that. It might seem like you're reading too much into it, but it wouldn't be the first time I've heard Purple make a mistake, something like that. All right. Caliber. 2 bombs. Monsanto also in a situation where even if he did get the Mountain Giant, now it goes down pretty fast. But he can Harrison this weapon, which is fairly important to stop the bomb train, I'd say.
It also keeps his hand full.
He's at 9 cards right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, it keeps his hand like...
belongs in a museum.
It replaces itself. So, like, Mountain Giant stays as cheap as it can be.
Yeah,
so next
always...
turn, he can go Mountain Giant, Conjurer's Calling, and force Purple to have the answer. And if he doesn't, then he goes Khadgar, Conjurer's Calling the turn after.
Purple finds the Brawl. What? Okay. Giant, Conjurer's Calling. Purple knew this is a likelihood to happen.
Super Collider would be incredible.
Another bomb being shuffled
2 more
in.
bombs. That's 5, 4.
He's just going for the bomb finish. He shuffled 2 more Clockwork Goblins in. He's just gonna make a big board. Monsanto, I think if I'm him, I am seriously considering whether or not I want to extend further onto this board. But more importantly, you have things like we have 4 bombs shuffled with a lot of
I wonder.
bombs yet to come. Do you like eventually as the game goes on, you might like Book of Spectres discard the bombs, or you have like full 10-card hand to defuse it? He has options here at his disposal. This is a very interesting game state. We definitely want to attack a little bit to face here.
What to do?
So if you do look at the statistics for Bomb Warrior versus Summoner Mage, the highest win rate cards are usually Clockwork Gnome, Augmented Elec, Wrench Caliber, and Blastmaster Boom.
Right.
Blastmaster Boom being at the top. So, I mean, maybe that's what Purple's thinking. I just don't know why he built that third deck. I don't know. Honestly, at this point, I hope he wins just so I can ask him about it.
Yeah. And now Brawl happens.
And that's his only Brawl, because he takes one out in his secondary deck.
What? Okay. There's 4
All right,
bombs in the
so
deck.
He's beat the breakpoint now.
Oh my god.
All right. Well, this
Oh,
is
wait.
Mount Giant Khadgar's.
He's got the Khadgar and yeah.
Yep, and that's game. Oh
No,
man.
it's not game just yet, TD. There's 4 bombs in the deck.
Oh yeah. All right, what? What? That's a 0.001% chance out.
At least wait till the next draw.
At least just end turn immediately and see if you can get 4 bombs in a row.
I don't know what to say. That was a cloud fiesta.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's a 0.00, nearly
It doesn't happen.
0.001% chance.
But at least it takes like 5 seconds of your life to see.
Yeah, and at least give it to the fans,
That's neither
man.
here
Give it
nor
to the
there.
fans.
That's neither here nor there. This was a very weird choice from Purple, to say the least.
Yeah, so
decklist wise,
as I mentioned, like there's a lot of things going through my mind right now.
would you rather have a Baleful Banker or a Big Game Hunter against Mage? I think the answer is pretty clear.
100% Big Game Hunter. Would you rather have a Sephorian Bomber or a Super Collider? 100% Super Collider. Would you rather have
Pretty good pick.
2 Executes or 2 Augmented Elecs?
I think I'd rather have the Executes.
100% 2 Executes. But Purple's he's a proactive kind of guy. So maybe he just wanted to go for the proactive game plan.
I mean, it looked pretty cool when he was having the opportunity to shuffle like 6 or 7 bombs in his opponent's deck. But
yeah.
I mean, Monsanto also had like the Book of Spectres on 2 with the Mountain Giants. Maybe you could argue that if he didn't have like the God Hand of Mage, that Purple would have been in an okay spot. But his hand was also awkward to follow up, right? There's like Elysiana in the hand. There's like a Dynamag that's not going to do anything.
Yeah.
I don't know. Either way, that's game 2 in the books, and we're going to get ready for game number 3. We'll find out what deck Purple chooses to play intentionally when we come back.
Aren't enough for world domination. They bring the manpower, but you also need a goal, a direction. Being evil isn't just sitting around. You've got to have big plans. Each villain in Rise of Shadows has an evil scheme. Schemes are spells with incredible potential, but you can't just rush into an evil scheme. You've got to take your time and think it through. That's why schemes start out weak, but their effects improve every turn that they remain in your hand. Take Rafam's scheme. It might not look like much at first, but wait it out and it becomes a lot more powerful. So plan your moves carefully. Rafam's scheme is effectively limited by how many available board spaces you have, but other schemes have no cap. During the development of Rise of Shadows, we experimented with many different mechanics before finally landing on what we know today as lackeys and schemes. Lackeys used to be called evil Zugs. Before that, they were named Marks of Evil and were a currency that were generated by some cards and spent by other cards. We found that the requirement to draw both pieces in a proper ratio made them unreliable and not as fun. So we turned the currency into the payoff itself, similar to spare parts from Goblins versus Gnomes. Schemes used to be spells with random additional effects or with additional discovered effects. The concept was to make an adapt-like mechanic for spells, but it proved challenging to find interesting bonus effects that worked on any spell, and also make interesting spells that worked with those bonus effects. As you've probably already guessed, the villains we'll meet in Rise of Shadows will be back in new different forms. But I have one more exciting set of cards to share with you today. Callback cards. Each evil villain has brought a card with them that harkens back to the set they were originally from. Each of these reuses a previous mechanic. We've already revealed Madame Lazul's callback card, Forbidden Words, which is a throwback to the forbidden cards from Whispers of the Old Gods. Now, let's see what Dr. Boom is bringing to the Rise of Shadows. A new Omega card, Omega Devastator. Like the other Omega cards from the Boomsday Project, it has reasonable stats on its own, but it does something incredible in the late game. It's a great throwback for Dr. Boom. I hope you've enjoyed this introduction to the League of Evil. Talking about them does make me wonder what exactly their grand plans are.
Our evil plan comes together!
Hearthstone Grandmasters' 5th match on Sunday is about to come to a conclusion in some capacity. We've gotten word that Purple chose the right deck this time. He chose Tertiary deck with his Big Game Hunters and Super Colliders, and I think my theory has a little bit more weight, but I kind of want to hear what Purple has to say if he chose the wrong deck by accident, or he maybe legitimately thought the Bomb Warrior, like doubling up on it with the Augmented Alex was a good idea.
I don't know. This is one of those cases where I'm hoping Purple wins, not for the fact that I like him more as a player, but just because I want an explanation.
I do.
For what happened in game number 2.
Right.
But here is Purple's tertiary deck. It has double Big Game Hunter, double Super Collider, and double Execute. He has cut his entire bomb package, as well as Archivist Elysiana. So none of that late game, but he wins out of sort of an attrition style where he just removes everything that Monsanto can do. But that is a pretty fire opening hand for Monsanto, as the card is calling Book of Specters already.
Whoa, threw Mountain Giant away too.
It is hard to play on
the play.
On the play.
Book of Specters again in his opening hand, loses Power of Creation though.
Yeah, does have 2 copies in this secondary deck of his, as well as a Caligos, a Barista Lynchin, and a Messenger Raven, and has cut a lot of the anti-aggro stuff like Voodoo Doll, Sunfree Protector, Rabble Bouncer. So, love the deck. It feels like it just always has gas.
What now?
Purple going for any kind of bluff, pretending like he's gonna coin over something. He literally can't coin anything except coin hero power.
I must choose.
Messing with Monsanto a little bit. He's like, hey, maybe I'm playing the Augmented Elk list.
Monsanto is... He smiled a little bit. I wonder if he knows.
Caligos.
Oh.
There's only one choice here.
Yeah, Celestial Emissary.
You don't even have enough. You don't even have spells to really capitalize Vexcrow or Celestial Emissary. Militia Commander. Purple has the curve. He's got Coin Militia Commander into another one, into a Dynamatic Ziliax response, into Dr. Boom Mad Genius.
Nice.
Scaleworm. Scaleworm can come down here and grab the board. Kinda. Well, actually, the nice thing about Scaleworm gaining +1 attack is that another Militia Commander can't really easily take it out.
Yeah, it's actually a solid play, right?
Right.
And he doesn't have anything else to do, man.
You are correct by that.
That's why I used to love playing Spiteful Druid.
Because the play was fairly obvious every turn.
Every single turn, the play was just like, ooh, this card's green. Ooh, this card's green. Ooh, 6 mana, or later on, 7 mana.
So I wonder what purple will do. He could also pass.
Defend the gates.
Wow. Usually Militia Commander is doing the 2-for-1, but he 2-for-1 himself there, I guess. Not necessarily. Militia Commander actually took something else. So it's not exactly the case, but purple very liberal with his resources.
Yeah.
I was kind of anticipating him to just kind
What
of hero
to
power
do?
pass and then maybe use
What to
Dynamatic to clean
do?
things up. But it could have easily gone the other way because this deck could put out big stats, so you don't really get good Dynamatic. This works out really good with the Dynamatic, though.
Yeah, Bristol Lynchian, if you didn't watch yesterday after Monsanto won his match, we asked him about that card. And he does not think that it's good. He was practicing other decks leading up to and said Mage was just kind of a last-minute thing that he decided to go with based off his reads from scouting. And he said he built the deck in like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And wished he had found something a little better to put in that
What to
spot. I
do?
mean, it's kind of a
What to
win more
do?
card, right?
Right. He said that there's a handful of cards that are better than it, but he said he wanted something that was greedy. And he's like, yeah, this seems all right. And he's like, you know what? He's like, I wish I put Toki to my deck
Yeah.
instead
to
of the
do?
Barista. He's not saying that Toki's good. He's saying like that would have even still been better.
Yeah, I honestly think Toki in the greedy deck is great. It's a 5/5 body, could be a Conjurer's Calling target, and there's a lot of high-value legendaries from the
Wild.
past.
Time runs out on me.
Sylvanas, Ragnaros the Fire Lord,
Yeah, the Hall of Fame card.
Emperor Thorsan, Lotheb, the big four, Dan.
Yeah, maybe even Dr. Boom.
Maybe even Dr. Boom.
Unity. Precision.
Purple cruising. Playing his turn super fast. Maybe he's doing it for all of us. Book of Specters. Hits 3, hits the Mountain Giant. Can't deal with the Dynamatic if he plays Mountain Giant.
But next turn he has, he can go Messenger Raven, Fire Tree, Witch Doctor this turn. Those replace themselves in the hand, so next turn Mountain Giant will cost 3. He could go Mountain Giant, Khadgar, Conjurer's Calling.
Yeah, it seems good to me.
Which is pretty sweet for Danica's
I
match.
see a vision in the
You can also just pick up a spell to deal with this 6/5 immediately. The one thing that I don't like is that going into 7, you're giving your opponent the opportunity to set up Dr. Boom magic pretty
Runs out on
comfortably.
me.
Yeah, but that also lets you play Mountain Giant, Khadgar, Conjurer's Calling.
Oh yeah, I don't disagree. Just explaining one thing I feel very scared about if I'm the mage. Oh, another Khadgar! Are you serious? He has 2 Conjurers Calling. Okay, this is so many waves of threats. He has 2 Conjurers Calling, 2 Khadgars, and Mountain Giants.
I'm so
Wow, this is going to be quite the explosive swing here on the board for Monsanto. Giant, Khadgar, Conjurer's Calling. Summon 4 Gravehearts / Mountain Giants.
Yeah, the funny thing is, if Brawl comes out, if he wins the Brawl, he can literally do the same thing the next turn.
Right.
Which is the second Khadgar and one of the other Conjurer's Callings.
What if the Khadgar survives, though?
Great point. Then you Barista Lynch it back and have a third Khadgar.
Oh, Barista works on Battlecry.
Only Battlecry, yeah. Khadgar's not a Battlecry, it's just a static effect.
4 Giants.
Purple did get the best hero power to pair with the Brawl.
Right, he did. Oh, yeah, Super Collider, too. No hero power. Oh, he's going to execute with the Eternium Rover.
Yeah.
And if the 1 and 5 hit with the Khadgar, he could just hero power it down.
Yeah. I don't know, though. I feel like taking the chance for the Brawl is... might even be better there.
That's not what Purple wanted to see, I guess. guess.
I don't know.
Monsanto, snap call, and
One turn away from Omega Devastation.
oof. That's not good. And if he sets up the Super Collider, he's in for a world of hurt. If he sets a Super Collider, he might just lose because his opponent has Khadgar, Harrison, and Conjurer's Calling.
Yep.
I think he might just lose here.
Yeah, I mean, it's very hopeful to hope that this is going to stick because of just how much weapon destruction is in Monsanto's deck.
Actually, does Monsanto might not need to. He could Khadgar, Conjurer's Calling first, summon a bunch of stuff, and then if he needs to, Harrison afterwards.
What to do?
Let's go
What to
discard
do?
a card.
I only say that because there's a chance that Super Collider doesn't do anything if a bunch of 412s come out. But
True, very true.
Yeah, and you might also, but at the same time, there's also like 9 mana rushers that have insane stats that might hit each other.
What to do?
Like Bulldozer and
Yeah.
early rusher.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like this sequencing. Yeah, it's the 9/9 rushers.
Oh, yeah.
And Undasta, which would pull out Scale Worm.
Yeah, just kind of everything working against Purple here. No second Brawl. He needs it. Does he even have the second Brawl? Okay, he does have a second Brawl, but unfortunately it just doesn't look like it's going to be enough. None of those do anything. Kasi comes out, Monsanto with the Mage, 2-0 on the week. And a similar story as his previous match. Fell in the first game, couldn't feel like he could get anything going. And then 2-0 sweep after that with his secondary greedy list. So well done for Monsanto here in week 1.
Yeah, good job to him. And, you know, Purple giving a slight round of applause, fellow Canadian. We'll talk to Monsanto in just a bit, but you got to see why Mage is crushing the Grandmasters League currently with a very good score. I think right now it's 12-3. It's just very, very good win rate. We'll have to go ahead and check on the stats officially, but I was checking with Monsanto for a quick talk and an interview. So, Monsanto, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Awesome. So, you know, you talked about Purple, and you were saying like how you know he didn't bring the test rogue, but now that you beat him head to head, it feels like it's okay, right? Like he didn't bring a test rogue, but you still got the victory.
Yeah. Well, that's what you get for not bringing test rogue.
Loving it. Game number 2. We were a little confused that he chose his Augmented Elec deck, and it seemed like you were confused too. Were you expecting that deck, or were you expecting the Big Game Hunter Super Collider
No,
version?
I didn't know what was in that deck. I didn't prepare for it at all. I honestly, I think maybe Purple thought he was winning so much and he tried to make things interesting. I don't know.
Whoa, wow. So you thought he was BMing
That
here.
seems like a real Purple kind of move, though, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I guess that makes the victory all that much sweeter.
Yeah.
All right. You know, Mage had a wonderful performance this weekend, both the Cyclone and the Summoner Mage. It's just the Conjurer's Calling seems particularly super powerful. I mean, do you have any comments on that? Like, is Mage just like the class now to beat, or is it because people were just not expecting it because they were expecting Rogue?
Yeah, I think Mage is very strong. I don't think the Conjurer. I think the Summoner Mage is not that strong, but the new Cyclone Mage is stronger. I brought this one specifically to counter Warrior, so that's different. I think we're gonna see less Warriors in the future weeks. I think Bomb Warrior is better on paper than it is actually when in practice.
Is it because of the counterplay like that people can do to mess with Bomb Warrior?
Yeah, it's also like you don't have guaranteed wins as much as Control Warrior. I don't know. I feel like people high rolled a lot this week with Bomb Warrior. I feel like the deck is not as strong as it showed.
Whew.
We'll see.
All right, I like that. Monsanto, interviewing you is actually fun. I like you give us some good sound bites. Bomb Warrior overperformed. People were high rolling with the deck.
Keeping it real, man.
Like it.
Keep
I like
it real.
The stats actually do kind of back you up. Bomb Warrior has a losing record despite having such representation in some pretty good matchups. But we'll talk more about that too once we get the week wrap up here. And so, you know, now that you took down Purple, It feels like, you got some good wins under your belt. 2-0 start things off, so congratulations. Anything else you want to say before we let you go?
Yeah, well, thanks Team Genji, and yeah, no, nothing else. Thank you, guys.
All right. Well,
Thanks, buddy.
see you later then. All right, Monsanto, he ended the last year season points for Americas pretty close behind Muzzy before he eventually pulled away and then qualified for the World Championship. So you might have seen Monsanto compete. You might have seen his name on ladder for the season finishes, but this guy was basically the first runner-up to Muzzy for the entire year. This guy's no slouch, and you guys can see exactly why he is considered to be a top threat in the Grandmasters League. That brings us to our final match, TJ. When we come back, we have Strifeco versus Eddie. One last warrior mirror to rule them all. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.